today's tutorial, we're going to learn the sensing blocks. The sensing blocks are the one in blue. The very first one is touching mouse pointer. So this is the one that we used before. It's the binary statement one with true or false. So let's bring in our forever loop and make Kitty say the statement true or false. So if we hit the green flag, Kitty says false because my mouse pointer is not touching Kitty. But when I am touching Kitty, it says true. Touching color. This checks to see if the sprite is touching a certain color. So this is useful when we have another sprite. So let's bring in an apple. So we can check and see if Kitty is touching apple. Apple's red color. So we can use this eyedropper tool and pick up apple's red color. So if Kitty is not touching apple, then it says false. But if it's touching the red color, it says true. If it's not touching any red, then it says false. But if it touches the red part of apple, it says true. We can also be very specific with our colors using this color is touching color block. So we can say, is Kitty's white part touching the apple's brown part? So when we hit the green flag, false. No, the white part is not touching the brown part of apple. So when it's touching the red part, it still says false. But when the brown part of the apple touches Kitty's white part, it says true. So if it only touches the red part, it says false. No, the white part is not touching the brown part. But if it touches the brown part, it says true. Yes, Kitty's white part is touching the brown part. Distance to mouse pointer. This is calculating the distance from Kitty's center point. Kitty's center point is somewhere over here, but the further away I go from Kitty's center point, the number increases. And if I come closer to Kitty, the number decreases back. Ask what's your name and wait. This one brings up a text input. So this thing comes up, and if I type in my name is Valencia, then it stores my answer. So if we bring in this answer block and click on the checkbox, then my answer is stored over there and I can see it on stage. Key space pressed. This one checks to see if the key space is pressed. So if I don't click on my spacebar, then it says false. No, the spacebar is not pressed. But if I press on it, then it says true. Yes, the spacebar is pressed. Mouse down. Mouse down checks to see if my mouse is down. So when I click on the green flag, it says, no, my mouse is not pressed down. But if I click on it, my mouse is pressed, then it says true. Mouse X and mouse Y. These tell me the X and Y values of my current mouse position. Because my mouse is in a grid coordinate, when I click on the green flag, it tells me where my mouse is on its X-axis. When I put in Y, it tells me my Y-axis. Set drag mode to draggable. So by default, when we have our stage on full screen, we actually can't drag our sprites. But if we set our drag mode to draggable, then our sprites become draggable. But notice how the apple is draggable, but our kitty is not. That is because we only set our apple to be draggable and not our kitty. It only applies on the sprite where we set our code on. Loudness refers to the loudness of our mic. So our input right now, if I whisper and make it really, really quiet, then it goes down to a very small number. But if I say really, really loudly, then the number goes high up. Timer is what we looked at before. It starts counting the moment I hit the green flag. So it starts from 0 and then starts counting up. Backdrop number of stage. Currently, I am in backdrop number 1, so it tells me that I am in backdrop number 1. If I change it to apple, it tells me the X position of apple. It also tells me the Y position of apple, the direction, costume number, costume name, size, and volume. The reason why we want this is if we were to know our own position of our own sprite, as in find out the X position of Kitty, then we can use our X position on the motion block. We can find out the Y position from our motion block and also the direction. But if we are trying to find out Apple's position inside Kitty, then we can use this block under our sensing blocks. Current year. Current year tells us the year that we are in, 2021, tells us the month, date, day of week, hour, minute, and second as well. You can also display it using the checkbox. Days since 2000 tells us the number of days since 2000. It's quite an interesting block to have. Username displays our username. I did not log in using a username, so it doesn't display anything, but if you were using it online and you have a username to log into your account, then it would display your username on stage. So that is all the sensing blocks that we have. Sensing blocks get used most often together with the event blocks right over here. So it would be helpful for you to know how to use the two types of blocks together, and it'd be easier when we are creating games. Ben has some food to try out in front of him. When he eats it, he says, "Wow, this food tastes so good." After he tries all the food, he gets a question asking which one he liked the most. When the green flag is clicked, we need to check constantly if the color of the food is touching Ben. We will need a forever loop and a color is touching color block. Secondly, when the color of the food is touching Ben's color, then he says, "Wow, this name of food tastes so great." We will need an if statement block for this. As a separate block of code, after 15 seconds we want the pop-up question, "What was your favorite food?" to come up. The answer key will be provided, so make sure you check when you're done.